My name is Rachel. I have been married to my college sweetheart, Mark, for 3 years now. Mark is a carefree, easygoing, and a huge eater who has made it to the finals of one of the TV shows, the Food Challenge Championship. Weighing about 330 pounds, his stomach is beyond the realm of human beings, and he has devoured 100 plates of fried chickens and 30 slices of XXL-sized pizzas. He also drinks 10 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola to refresh his palate and still looks like it's not enough for him. Since he had an enormous appetite, life with Mark was always a struggle. He says he eats very light meals at home, but even so, out of his monthly salary of $2,000, $1,800 are all spent on food. The Engel's coefficient, which indicates the ratio of food expenses to total expenses, averages just under 30%, but our figures were over 90%. Since we own our home, we don't have to pay housing costs, but we are behind in paying fixed expenses such as utilities and phone bills, and have often had our electricity and water stopped since we couldn't pay for that either on time. Mark's family has been providing financial support to help us make ends meet. Mark's family only consists of him and his mother. After our marriage, my mother-in-law, Linda, has been living alone in an apartment. She is also known as one of the big eaters in the neighborhood. No matter how much she eats, she somehow manages to stay thin, and even Mark admits that she eats a lot. She is obsessed with food and devours everything that is put in front of her. She is literally a machine that just eats. Mark would laugh while describing about her. Sometimes, Linda would invite us to visit her apartment. But when it comes to eating together or anything related to food, she would begin to bully me. Welcome. Thank you for coming all the way here. Here, please sit. When Linda invited Mark and I into her place, she first makes us sit in chairs. From where she stands, she looks down at me with a smile, but there's always a cold look in her gaze. It's as if she's trying to bully and beat down the hateful woman who took away her son whom she had carefully raised. Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel. I went to buy a cake for the two of you since you said that both of you were coming to visit me, but the shop only had 20 pieces. 10 pieces were each placed on 2 huge plates, one in front of Mark and the other in front of Linda. One small empty white plate was in front of me. I think there's something in the pantry by the storage, so you're free to eat anything from there. Linda says so, but the pantry by the storage is a little far away from her place, and there's no way I can tell which shelf to look at. I can only give a fake smile to her and tell her that it's unnecessary. This always happened whenever we visited Linda, and all the main dishes like the barbecue meals and desserts were all served by Linda to Mark and her, but I was left with only one empty white plate. I don't mind if they do that with a side dish, but I'm fed up with being harassed like this every time. Hey, Mark, I only have this plate and I've got no food on it. I decided to consult Mark about it, but Mark wouldn't even look at me and seemed to care. This cake is from that cake shop over there, right? It's so good. He munched onto the cakes and says, Mom said they didn't sell it, so I guess it can't be helped, right? Well, no, I mean, every time I'm here, all I do is get this white empty plate. I had no choice but to clam up. Mom, you really know my taste buds. It's so delicious. I married him because I liked how carefree he was, but he really has no consideration for his own wife. I grew more and more disgusted, day by day, with the insensitivity of Mark, who never questioned Linda about how she bullied me. One day, we were invited to eat dinner with Linda. I ordered pizza, so come and eat it. We also have fried chicken, so let's have a small party. Mark was so thrilled when Linda called for a feast party. I love pizza so much. How can something very junky be so good? As I filled the container with the salad I prepared as a side dish, I thought to myself that I'm sure I'll end up eating just this salad anyway. Compared to Mark, who looks very happy, I let out a huge sigh. When we arrived at Linda's place, she started her custom, to bully me. It took 5 delivery people to bring in the 60 extra large pizzas into her place. The same number of fried chickens were also prepared. I wonder if this would be enough, Linda asks. Yes, well, if we have about 20 more plates of hamburgers, then it would be perfect. Mark asks for an additional order. What an appetite. I was just too stunned. What kind of big eaters were they? I muttered in my mind. I'm sorry, I really love my son so much that I want him to eat everything he wants to eat. Once all the food came, Linda finally came over and spoke to me. But that salad you brought, it can't possibly be enough. And even the vegetables aren't enough. It's only just lettuce, cucumbers, and tomatoes. She began to bully me with my salad. Supposedly, Linda's sister and her husband would also come to visit over later on. Their appetite is said to be average, but Mark was the one who says they're average, so you can probably guess how big their appetite was compared to normal people. I had to put all the pizzas nicely onto the plates, serve the fried chickens onto the plates, and other things like serving other side dishes on different plates. While I was doing all the preparations that Linda forced me to do, Mark and Linda were just watching the TV and laughing hysterically. When everything was ready, I called them over. Whoa, pizza! Fried chicken! What an amazing feast we'll have! Mark was tapping his flabby tummy and doing a little dance. My mother-in-law on the other side of the table was saying, "What is with all this food being served like this? You really haven't learned our family's traditional way of serving food yet, huh?" She looked furious. I was silent, not understanding what was going on. "You're only supposed to have 1 plate. Why are you arranging the dishes to your side as the same way we do?" she asks. "Oh, enough. You can just eat the salad you brought in the other room. This is the only dish that you get to take." Linda looked offended and I was unable to say anything back, so I moved to the next room. My head was spinning. In the living room, on the other side of the wall, a huge feast was going on without me. While eating the salad in the other room, I got thirsty. I tried to ask Linda if I could at least have a sip of Coca-Cola, but she says, "Oh, we don't have them anymore, and these are the 2 last ones. Sorry," she says with a smirk on her face. I had no choice but to drink water from the toilet. I look into the back of the kitchen and see an unopened carton of milk sitting next to the fridge. They have milk! I picked it up and asked Linda if I could at least drink that. And she answers, "Oh, this milk is for the stray cats, I'm sorry." And saying this, she went back to the family feast. She made me do all the preparations for the feast and then called me out on my lack of manners. She has enough milk to feed stray cats, but she doesn't even have anything to give to her own son's wife? I really have had enough of this. Now it's my time to show them what I can do. The adrenaline and anger filled my body. One day, as I was looking for the right timing to get back at Linda, Mark and I had the opportunity to visit her place again. As usual, I was being bullied with no food on my plate. "Grandma!" I heard a young voice. The voice was my niece Kathy's, who was at the front door. "Oh, well, what's wrong now, honey?" She was standing in the doorway, who was probably on her way home from kindergarten. I forgot to bring back the cactus drawing that I made with you yesterday. I looked into the living room and saw 2 pieces of paper with drawings on it on the table in front of the TV. Well, I'm sorry that I couldn't remind you about it. Linda quickly changed her devilish expression she had towards me and smiled lovingly over to Kathy. Then, Kathy came running into the living room. Then, she went straight to the cactus and picked up a small one. It must have been a precious treasure for her. And for Linda, it was a proof of her granddaughter's hard work. Because you like this one, Grandma, I'll leave it here. And I'll bring this one, okay? Kathy picked up the one she was bringing it back home and looked at us. Oh, Auntie and Uncle! She realized that we were there. Kathy was so adorable. At that moment, I had a great idea. Hey, Kathy, are you hungry? Hearing this, Kathy turned to me and said, Yup, I'm hungry. She held her stomach and gave a huge smile as she said that. She really is very cute. I see. Well, how about we play a game to see who can eat more? If you win, I'll buy you the toy you've always wanted. Really? Okay, I'll play. Oh, there's all my favorite foods on the table. I could eat all of them. Kathy's stomach growled loudly as she looked at the pizza, fried chicken, and large hamburgers, which were all in front of Mark. Oh, these are mine. Kathy, I'll give you some snacks here, so come on, get over here. I guess Mark and Linda was so greedy that they didn't even want to give their own grandchild and niece what they have surrounded themselves with. They had very serious looks on their faces and went out of their way to stop the game. But Kathy says this innocently. I like fried chicken and pizzas better. Alright, let's get set. Ready, and go! I took the pizza that Mark had left, and Kathy took the fried chicken and the burgers that were on Linda's plate and ate them with her mouth full. Hey, stop it! My fried chicken. Mark tried to take the fried food away from me and began to stick his hand in my mouth, but Kathy says this. Don't interfere with the game, and slapped Mark's hand hard. Mark was stunned by the shock of being slapped by Kathy, while Linda looked on in disbelief at what was happening before her eyes. 10 minutes later, all the remaining food on the table was gone. Now Kathy is smothering herself with the cake as a dessert. My pizza! My fried chicken! Where did the burgers go to? Mark stares dumbfounded at the empty plates on the table. Well, it's in mine and Kathy's stomachs. It's your fault for not eating it sooner, isn't it? You can't just stand there. If you think that I'm going to stay quiet forever, you're both wrong for this. Oh, and that's right. There's something I prepared for you. Mark's eyes lit up, and his stomach rumbled as if he thought I had prepared him food. But he misunderstood really badly. I took out a document from my bag. Let's get a divorce. Huh? I took out the divorce papers that I had been carrying around with me since that day. Linda and Mark both had huge surprised eyes at my abrupt request for a divorce. Please divorce me. And I began to vent out all my past stresses and frustrations at once. I've been bullied by your mother, and you haven't defended me even once. I'm sick and tired of you eating up my share of the food. You empty the fridge so much that it's so difficult for me to do our daily shopping. You don't even realize that with your very low salary, you have been draining my precious savings because you don't even have enough money for food. And then Linda says this. I'm bullying you? I beg your pardon. Isn't it natural that you want your own beloved son to eat a full meal of all the delicious foods? If you put up with your empty white plate, my son will be happy, and you, as his wife, should be happy too if he's happy. She argued back with such nonsense. My mind completely snapped. You've got to be kidding me. My happiness doesn't lie in that. Both Linda and Mark gasped at my sudden anger. No matter how much I had been mistreated as a wife, I had to put up with it for a long time. But when I realized that this attitude had escalated Mark and Linda in the wrong direction, I felt disgusted with myself. I decided that I would go all out. I quickly pulled my phone out of my pocket and began to call. I'm divorcing Mark because I got bullied by Linda. Please just come to Linda's place right now, I said over the phone. I'll be right there, so you better wait for me. And then I waited for 30 minutes. As the fierce battle between Mark, Linda, and I continued, my mother, Anna, finally arrived at Linda's place. Are you the ones who are torturing my beautiful daughter? My mother's angry voice echoed through the living room. My mother is as big as Mark. She was once famous for being a champion for Women's Wrestling Championship, and now she's a fierce fighter who trains male members of the Men's National Wrestling Club. Her overwhelming power is so huge that people on the street tend to avoid her. Mark and Linda were stunned by the unexpected appearance of Anna, and their mouths were wide open. You, Mark! Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, ma'am. Mark sounded very scared. Instead of helping your wife, you have joined with your mother together to bully your own wife. Shame on you. Shame on you. I'm so sorry. Mark repeatedly apologized with tears in his eyes. And then my mother became a little bit calm at this point. By the way, how did you even get bullied? I revealed everything that had happened to me. Mark and Linda, who have been picking on me, definitely took advantage of my silence so that no one would notice that they're actually bullying me. They are bullying me, but by nature they're what I call cowards, who are more concerned about what others think of them. Knowing this, I asked my mother, who is a fierce fighter, to appear this time. My mother grew angry at the numerous stories I told her about me being bullied by them. Seeing my mother get angry, both Mark and Linda began to tremble. When my mother finished listening to my story, she told Kathy and I to go outside and enjoy at the amusement park nearby, and disappeared with Mark and Linda into the next room. And 2 hours later, when Kathy and I returned to Linda's place after enjoying the amusement park, Mark and Linda were slumped over looking helpless, apparently having been lectured by my mother earlier. So? Don't you have something to say to my daughter? What are you supposed to say if you did something wrong? My mother urged Mark and Linda. I'm so sorry. They both apologized to my mother and I. If you want my forgiveness, sign the divorce papers. If you promise to stay away from me for the rest of your life, maybe there will be a day when I could finally forgive you both. I understand. My mother did an amazing job. My mother and I looked at each other and laughed. And Kathy was quietly eating her cake at the table. 1 year had passed since the divorce. Due to my mother's influence, word got out that Linda had bullied me, and she had become a person who was hated by many people. From that, she got depressed, and her hormone balance was broken, and her slender body, of which she was so proud of, had completely changed, and she got very fat. As for Mark, even though I told him not to contact me, he sends me a message once a week demanding that we get back together. He's trying his best to get back with me, but it'll never happen. Honey, where are you now? I am worried that you're at home without me and shivering from loneliness. I'm living with my mother now. The house without you is nothing to me now. My mother doesn't cook my favorite fried chicken anymore. I want to eat your cooking again. I want to start over again with you. Please give me a chance. I will never take away your food again. I will not complain about you with my mother anymore. I'll do whatever you say, Please, come back. What a horror. Reading those messages made me feel sick and nauseous. Please do not contact me ever again. That would be my true happiness. Goodbye. I replied with that message, set all of Mark's messages to be forwarded to my mother, and threw my phone into the ocean. I'm so sure that Mark will get lectured from my mother now every time he texts me from now on. And what's more, I'm actually a big eater myself. I secretly participated in a women's food challenge championship and ate 20 servings of fried chickens and made it to the semifinals. I kept it a secret from Mark and Linda about this. On the day I competed with Kathy, there were about 10 servings each of fried chickens, burgers, and pizzas left on the table, and I finished them all in 10 minutes. Kathy also ate about 5 servings, so in the future, she would definitely be a big eater. After that incident, I threw away all the white plates, which reminded me of those traumatizing days. Whenever I feel like it, I prepare about 12 servings of fried chickens, pizzas, and burgers, and enjoy eating them all with my mother. Being jealous over food really is something. Every time my mother and I remember Mark and Linda apologizing on their knees, we both have a laugh about it.
My mother-in-law kicks me out for not being able to get pregnant with my husband. Few years later.
You're cursed, so you better get out of this house soon. A few days ago, my mother-in-law, Vicky, treated me like I was the one who was cursed and kicked me out of her house. I'm Hannah, and I'm 33 years old. Ever since I left school, I've been working as a nurse at a hospital in the city. I'm now an expert at my job, and I'm relied by many people at work. My husband's name is Mike. We met when I was working at the hospital where he was brought in after an accident. We hit it off right away, partly because we were close in age. He kept in touch with me after he got discharged from the hospital, and we began to date. I became more and more attracted to the cheerful and kind Mike. I want you to take care of me from now on. Mike smiles mischievously as he says that. Oh, what are you saying? Please marry me. Yes. After 6 months of dating, he proposed to me. I wanted to be with him forever, so of course I accepted his proposal. One day, a few days after his proposal, Mike called me out to consult with me. What's wrong? You look so serious. Actually, I didn't tell you this, but I resigned from where I worked the other day. Huh? Why? I'm going to be taking over my father's company anyways in the future. If that happens, then I wouldn't be able to do whatever I want. I thought I'd enjoy it while I can and do a part-time job instead. Why didn't you tell me about such an important thing before you quit your job? I'm sorry, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. When the time comes, my father will probably ask me to take over the company. So until then, I'm gonna take it easy. When the time is right? Are you sure that you can run a company that easily? I'll be able to manage it somehow. I'll have a lot of experts who knows my father working for me. Aren't you just sleeping on the fact that you'll be able to manage when you won't be able to? I thought that Mike had an immature way of thinking about how the society works. He proposed to me only a few days ago, and I was just stunned. I may depend on you for a while, but we'll do our best together. And I mean, you have a higher income than me to begin with. Huh? I mean, it's definitely fine to work because I love my job, but in return, Mike, you have to definitely think about your future, okay? Okay, don't worry about it. He seemed to go to work every day, but I never thought that he would quit his job. But it's not like I'm getting married for his money either. Even so, I thought he had the sense to work at least as a normal adult, so I developed a feeling of distrust towards him. But I knew that we had a long life ahead of us, and there would be many more things to come, so I decided to trust him this time. Finally, the day came when we went to greet Mike's parents. I was nervous and excited because I had not been able to go and greet them before due to our schedules. Hey, what are your parents like? Well, my father is pretty busy and independent, but he grew the company all on his own, and well, I think he's a great guy. My mom loves me a lot, so I think you and her will get along well. What does he even mean by that? Oh, I see. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Mike's house is a big house since his father runs a company. Wow, your family is really rich, Mike. A house with a warehouse, that's amazing. Oh my, Mikey, welcome back. Nice to meet you, Vicky. My name is Hannah. Oh, Mikey, you should come back more often to show your face. Did she just ignore me? I'm home, Mom. This is my wife-to-be, Hannah. Ah, yes, okay, well, enjoy your stay here. It seemed like I wasn't welcome at all. Mike's father was away for work, so it was just Mike, Vicky, and I. It was somewhat awkward being with them. I could tell right away that Vicky really loved her son, but somehow they were talking with each other as if I wasn't there. When Mike left as expected, Vicky says this to me. I'm going to ask you directly. Did you choose Mike for his money? Excuse me? You know, you can fool Mike, but not me. That's not... Don't you dare think about doing anything to my son or my family, okay? On the way home, Mike suggested that we should live together with his family. You and Mom seem to get along well with each other, and wouldn't it be more convenient for us to live together with them after our marriage? Besides, my father and mother don't actually get along very well, and I think it would be reassuring to have you with us. In return, when we have enough money saved up, we will definitely buy a new house and live together. I wanted to fulfill Mike's wishes if I could, but considering the earlier exchange I had with Vicky, it was something I just didn't want to do. But after all, we are the ones getting married, so why don't the two of us just live on our own away from your parents first? We'll think about whether or not we'll live together in the future at that time. Fine, you're a cold person, huh, Hannah? A few days later, Vicky called me up and asked me to reconsider about living together. All right, Hannah. Our family has a long history. In order to accept you, a stranger from nowhere, as my son's wife, I need you to prove to me and show me that you're not marrying my son just for money by moving in with us. It's not like I didn't want to cut ties with Mike's parents, and I wanted to be amicable as possible. I felt a little positive that if I made an effort, I would try my best and that Vicky would approve me of being Mike's wife. If that didn't work, Mike and I would live away from them, is what I thought. Not long after that, we got married. My family and friends gave me their blessings at the wedding. But that was the beginning of our hellish life together at Mike's parents' house. I had no intention of quitting my job at all. But I was checked by Vicky one by one about cleaning the house early in the morning, doing laundry even on my days off, and preparing meals. Oh, you can't even cook very well? What a troublesome wife you are. You could have at least bought some side dishes. Huh? I think it's delicious. Is she bullying me? On the days after the night shift, my body was so tired from work that I would pass out by evening. But Mike, whether he knew how I was feeling or not, was living a carefree life on his own. Hey, Mike, about Vicky. Again? Just make it work with my mom. I have to go to my part-time job now. Hey! One day a year later, at a family gathering, Vicky asks me, Hannah, when are you going to show me my grandchild? Please don't tell me that you're infertile. If you are, you should go to a clinic for a treatment right away. I was getting concerned about it myself, even without Vicky's advice. In fact, I had been going to the clinic for a while to consult about infertility treatment. The treatment would cost a lot of money, and I couldn't quit my job, so I have been worrying about it for a long time. I could only reply, "I'm thinking about it properly," to her. We had only been married for a year. And yet, Vicky tells me this. "You're incapable of having children, aren't you? If you are incapable, then it's pointless for you to be even here as Mike's wife." I was shocked by Vicky's heartless words. On top of that, some of my relatives also said that they were worried that I wouldn't be able to produce an heir. When I looked at Mike, he turned his face away and ignored me. I had no one on my side. "I'm doing my best. I've been to the clinic and had tests done." "Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. Then you must be able to get pregnant with healthy children, right? If you can't produce an heir, you are completely unnecessary here. If that happens, I will ask you to divorce my Mikey." With those words, something inside me snapped. I've had enough. I'm not a slave that you can just disown me just because I can't get pregnant. Besides, I married Mike, not his whole family. Oh dear, you've really said some things you can't take back now. You really are not qualified to be a wife after all. It can't be helped if you're only after our money, though. Well, I've had it enough too. A woman like you who can't have children better get the hell out of my house. Hearing her words, I packed my bags and left immediately. I went back to my parents' house and told them what had happened. Mike called me as soon as he came home from work. "Please, come back. If you're not here, I'll be troubled." Troubled by what? Are you saying that knowing what I went through? But I don't want a divorce from you. Then why don't you leave your parents' house and come live together with me? But my mom... Are you going to leave your parents' place or not? Which is it? Let me think about it for a little bit. Huh? In the end, Mike couldn't argue back to Vicky and ended up divorcing me. We had a little trouble during the divorce process. Vicky, who knew that I had my savings, told Mike to divide the property properly between us. But I was totally against it. A meeting was set up to discuss about the issue, but thanks to my parents and the lawyer I had asked for, also complained to Mike about it, so he caved in and the divorce was successfully finalized with no property division. To this, Vicky was saying, "My son said enough is enough, so that's why he was kind enough to cave in, and you should be thankful for that." Finally, everything was over. I couldn't see a future with such a crazy person like Vicky, and Mike, who seemed to be forever stuck at his part-time job. I was glad that this was over. I also became to think that I should start my life over again with a refreshed mindset. I was now alone and I had moved out and resumed work with a refreshed mind. And few years later, one day, when I had almost forgotten about the past, Vicky suddenly came to my house. "Long time no see. What happened?" "You were only trying to be innocent when you weren't at all. Our family heirloom is missing ever since you left. Give it back, you thief." I had no idea what she was talking about, but I was not happy to have her making a scene at my front door, so I reluctantly asked her to come inside the house. Vicky was being very aggressive. "Our family heirloom, which was placed next to the warehouse, is missing. It was you who took it, right?" Not only did she accuse me that I was unable to have children, but she would also accuse me as being a thief. I'm just so stunned. "Huh? What do you mean? I have no clue what you're talking about." "Fine, I'll give you some time, a few days, to return it back. If you return it in time, then it'll be fine. If you don't, I'll sue you." Vicky finally left after saying that. I had no idea what was going on, and all I was left with was a feeling of discomfort. There certainly seemed to be a lot of important things in that huge house, but I had no interest in them at all, so I didn't even take a closer look. Of course, I had no idea how much they were worth for, and there was no way I was going to take it. and she just suddenly treats me like a thief. After that, Mike called me in a panic. "I'm so sorry, Hannah. I think my mother visited you, but it was a mistake about the family heirloom being stolen. I'm really sorry about this." He told me this over the phone and hung up. Exhausted by this turn of events, I lied on the sofa. A few hours later, the doorbell rang, and both Vicky and Mike came in together. "I know you're in there. Come on out." "Come out, you cursed one. Give me back what you stole from me. I came all the way here to get it for you." "Mom, just please calm down." Vicky is just screaming around for me to return their family heirloom, and Mike is desperately trying to stop her. It's not good for the neighbors to hear you screaming in a place like this, so come inside, please. If you just return what you stole from me, then everything would have been fine." "Mom, as I've been saying, there must be some mistake here." "Why are you protecting this woman, Mike?" "What do you mean, why? That's..." And then it hit me. "Mike, could it be you who took the family heirloom?" "Huh?" "In the past, when you run out of money, you used to secretly take my accessories out and sell them." Well, that's..." "Oh no, Mikey, did you?" Knowing that he couldn't deny the truth now, Mike began to confess. "I don't get enough money from my part-time job, and Mom, you don't give me any allowance these days. My father also told me not to come to work, and I can't pay back my debts because he won't retire anytime soon." "Mikey, you're in debt?" Apparently, he didn't have enough allowance, so he even began to be in debt. Wow, he really is helpless. "So, since it's not my fault at all, can you both please leave?" "No! The reason Mikey did this is surely because of your influence. He might have borrowed money because you told him to. I can't believe Mikey married a hopeless woman like you. That's right, I'll demand alimony for all the troubles you've caused me. Right, Mikey?" You're the one who caused me troubles to begin with. Why is Mike's debt my fault? Isn't it because of the way you brought him up like that he became who he is? Don't you think so? I mean, normally, adults don't act like that. I didn't even want to see you both, but you were the ones who suddenly barged into my house, so who's the crazy ones here? When I was getting tired of this, my husband, who was in the back of the house, came over to me. He said, "What's wrong?" as he appeared with our baby in his arms. Yes, I had actually remarried. The moment they saw the faces of my new husband, Dave, and our baby, both Vicky and Mike looked very surprised. Of course they were, because my current husband was the lawyer who I had hired from that divorce. Later, I met him coincidentally through a friend who was that lawyer who helped me at that time. Dave, who knew the personalities of my former in-laws, and Mike, was worried about me and had helped me in many ways. When I talked to him, we had the same interests, and above all, he was a really reliable man. 6 months later, we got married. "Oh, hi, it's been a while." Both Mike and Vicky were stunned by Dave holding a baby. "A baby? No way. Why did you barge in here without any permission?" "I heard a little about this before, but are you still living without any proper income from a company?" "It's none of your business." "If it's none of my business, then get out. Hannah is my precious wife." Ugh. As Mike got silenced by Dave, Vicky says this. "What's wrong with him being unemployed?" "Mom, stop treating me like I'm unemployed." My husband sighs loudly, and this makes our daughter cry. "You do know that I'm a lawyer, right? If you make any more ludicrous accusations, I will proceed this to the court to take legal action. Let's start with breaking and entering." "I only just walked in here for a minute." Then Dave says this. "You may think it's easy to say that you just only entered someone's house for a few minutes, but the crime of breaking and entering comes with penalties like imprisonment. The penalty for breaking and entering is up to 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $1,000. There is also a jail sentence available, so you better be prepared."
"Pardon me?"
Hearing those words, both Vicky and Dave rushed out of the house. Seeing them rush out, I said this to them. "Oh yes, as you can see, about the infertility thing, the clinic checked everything and found that there was nothing wrong with me." After being told that there was nothing wrong with me, the two of them left quietly. Dave laughed as I said this to them. "If you ever come back again, I will be calling the police." Later on, when Dave sent a notice to Vicky's house, my ex-father-in-law called me right away to apologize. "I'm so glad I married a very reliable husband. I heard from a mutual friend that Mike is still living with his family. Our family of 3 is living happily together now. Oh yes, I also found out recently that I am pregnant with our second child." Dave hugged me gently, and we are so happy. I am very grateful for my kind husband. I'm so sure that the future of our children is very bright.
My mother-in-law bullies and looks down on me in front of the relatives, so I finally argue back.
My name is Katie, and I'm 37 years old. I married my husband Steve last year, and we bought a house together. Steve is 10 years younger than me. To be honest, I never dreamed that I would marry someone 10 years younger than me. When we started dating, I thought we would eventually break up, but before I knew it, we had quickly reached to marriage. Even when he proposed to me, I was the one who asked him if he was really okay to be married with me. But then, Steve replies with, "I'll definitely protect you, Katie, so please marry me." I thought to myself how lucky I was to be with someone so kind and gentle. However, our newlywed life was not all lovey-dovey and didn't get to have much time alone with just the two of us. Steve's mother, Lily, completely went against our marriage and made a fuss saying, "My own son Steve is going to leave me, his own mother, and choose that woman, that devilish woman." Lily was not at all pleased with the fact that I was 10 years older than Steve. I thought to myself that it's no surprise that she opposes me, given Steve and I's age difference. And then Lily gave me a condition in exchange for her approval of our marriage. She demands by saying, "You must live with me." I thought it was a bit too far-fetched, but Lily would not allow us to get married at all unless we obeyed her request, so we agreed. Besides, Steve at that time couldn't really ignore his mother like that. "You know, my mother raised me all on her own, right? So I felt like I had to return the favor." Lily had raised Steve all alone as a single mother. Steve was grateful for that and wanted to repay by taking care of her. As for me, I couldn't really do anything to get in the way between Lily and Steve's bond, so we decided to live together. I wanted Lily to see the two of us, Steve and I, as a normal married couple and to gain her approval. We decided to live together in a house that we had purchased as our new home. We hoped that this would improve our relationship with Lily, but oh yes, we were very much mistaken. "Katie, can't you even do your housework properly? What in the world have you learned at your age? This is why I hate women who are older than Steve." Lily's bullying only got worse. Like Steve, I worked overtime and often came home late, leaving me with little time to take care of the housework. With all due respect, Lily, I work just like Steve does. So please understand that I can't do everything perfectly. That's what I would say to argue back, but you instantly disobey people who are older than you, huh? What a bossy wife you are. Hearing what she said, it looks like she gets more fired up and bullies me even more once I argue back to her. Steve, seeing all of this, says, "Mother, stop talking to Katie like that." He always defended me. To that, Lily looks shocked and says, Well, Steve, honey, you weren't like this before. It's all Katie's fault that you started rebelling against your own mother. While saying this, she would wipe her tears with a tissue. And then she would give me this very cold, angry glare. This is all your fault. I don't know why Steve got married to a woman like you. This would happen every single time. Wow, I really can't believe that I'm kind of living a life of the one that you'd see in soap operas, where wives get picked on by their mother-in-laws. I guess Lily is frustrated that her beloved Steve was taken away by a wife who's way older than him, and also she just enjoys bullying me like it's her hobby. Day by day, Lily has turned into a very spoiled person, and she was going out of control. I had to take care after her grandmother before I had any experience in taking care of a baby, and I was having a hard time with it. Katie, I'm sorry about this. It's okay. Thank you for always being there for me. I actually feel really bad for Steve. His own mother hated and kept on bullying who he loves. Steve, who loves me very much, has tried many times to get her to move out, but I couldn't agree to his idea. I kind of felt sorry for Lily, even though she was like that. I believe that if I just put up with it, Lily would one day understand and maybe change for the better. That's what I believed. But Lily's verbal abuse towards me didn't stop. On the first New Year's Day after our marriage, we gathered at a relative's house. Lily, who usually never left the house, was so happy to see and talk with people as she was in an excited mood. Every day, Katie makes excuses that she has work, but in reality, she doesn't do anything at all. And she leaves all the housework to me. Can you believe that? If she did that during our generation, that would be unacceptable, right? I really don't know where she got her common sense. Lily was talking about me to all my relatives over drinks. She talked bad things about me even here. If it was only within our family, I'd be okay as I'm used to it. But now I was getting angry by the minute. Lily's voice was so loud that her conversation, which was held in the hall, even reached me in the kitchen. One of my husband's relatives, Lisa, who was with me, says, "Katie, it looks like you're having a hard time, aren't you?" She called out to me, looking worried. "Oh, yes, well, I'm managing somehow." Living with Lily is not a comforting experience, isn't it? Especially with Lily being like that. Well, actually, you're right. Without thinking, I let out my true feelings. Why don't you talk to Helen about it? Helen is Steve's aunt and Lily's sister. She's an older sister and she has always been kind and reliable. But would she even listen to me complaining about her own sister? While I was thinking that to myself, "Katie!" I heard a very loud voice echoing through the kitchen. "Oh, Lily, what's wrong now?" "You always make me keep asking you to bring me more drinks because we're out of it." "Sorry, I'll bring it out now." I sighed and hurriedly brought the beer. Lily was in the middle of chatting with her relatives and looked a little bit drunk. As I brought a cold bottle of beer and a new glass, Lily snatched it away from me and says, "Katie, you really are a clumsy wife, aren't you?" She says as she glares at me. Why the hell would she say that? As I was thinking this, Lily poured the beer into the glass for a relative who was sitting next to her. It's common sense to pour drinks into empty glasses, isn't it? This is what you always lack, Katie. You're really a useless person with a bad upbringing. Lily's words made everyone around look a little uncomfortable, but she didn't care. I felt that if I got angry at Lily at this point, this would put me in the same fighting ring as Lily, so I just casually decided to laugh it off. That's my mother-in-law. She really knows her way around drinks. I learn a lot from you, Lily. My usual business smile came in handy. Lily was also smiling with a huge grin on her face, thinking as if what she did was amazing. It seems like she's satisfied now. Katie, are you alright? It was Lily's sister Helen who spoke to me, all worried, looking at how exhausted I was. I'm really sorry about my sister. It's always so difficult to deal with her, isn't it? Oh, no. I denied it, but to be honest, I was so fed up with Lily that I couldn't manage to lie that well in front of Helen. Living together with Lily, is it difficult? Yes, it actually is. Lily doesn't seem to like me at all. I sighed and complained to Helen about my problems with Lily. Helen had listened to every word I said and finally says, "If you have any problems, you can always talk to me." I was moved by her kind and reassuring words, as if she was like my real mother. Yes, I have a kind ally who will help me when I'm really in trouble. I felt a little better, and like this, I was able to go on with the New Year's holiday. Thank you, and I'm sorry for what happened, Katie. I'm sorry about all the things my mother has said to you. Oh, it's okay. Lily was drunk, and because of that, I'm sure she just got carried away. I tried to think so, but I was too naive. Lily's verbal abuse towards me, who didn't try to argue back to her, escalated even more. Steve's relatives likes to hold family events, and they usually get together whenever they have the chance. I was sent out forcefully by Lily to help out every single time. Steve tells me that I didn't have to come if I was busy, but Lily would always force me to go. And every time, I would receive verbal abuse from Lily. Katie, don't get all carried away just because you have a job. A wife should always stand 3 steps behind her husband and quietly watch over him. You think you're unequal with Steve, but he's a better man than you. You don't understand anything. She was verbally abusing me publicly in front of my relatives again. What's so wrong of me working at my job? What's so wrong being the same position as my husband? Steve tried repeatedly to warn Lily, but I felt very awkward about being everyone's attention on this lively drinking party. All I could do was just sit in silence and listen to Lily's terrible words. Then one day, Lily said something so horrible which made me decided that I could no longer live with her. It was at a family gathering as usual, and Lily, as usual, would be verbally abusive to me to make her feel better. What in the world does my son like about Katie? I really shouldn't have allowed him to marry her. Lily drinks with the relatives while saying such things. She can't even get pregnant, so what's the point of them getting married? Don't you think so? Lily says in a snarly voice, as if she is asking the people around her to agree with her. I felt the air freeze at her words. Steve's hand holding the glass began to shake, and I dropped the tray which I was holding on the floor. What did you just say, Mother? Steve asked in a low voice, as if trying to suppress his anger. What do you mean? I only said if she can't get pregnant, what's the point of you and Katie's marriage? I mean, aren't I right? Marriage at 37 means that she's given up on getting pregnant, right? That's why I was against the marriage, but you wouldn't listen to me. It's too late to regret anything. I wonder if Lily really understood the actual meaning of what she was saying. Steve and I definitely wanted kids. Indeed, I'm almost 40, so my chances of getting pregnant are slim. Still, I wanted his child and had just started going through fertility treatments. I didn't tell Lily a word about this. I knew that if I told her, she would criticize me again. Hey, Katie, let's make this clear once and for all. If you don't want to have kids, then get divorced already. Steve is still young, so he can start over as much as he wants. Okay? At that moment, something inside me had snapped. The wiring that I had worked so hard to endure all this time had snapped with the words kids and divorce. You really hate me, don't you, Lily? Yes, I do hate you. I hate you so much. Lily looks at me smiling as she says that. Okay then, well just now, we are no longer living together anymore. Could you please leave my house, Lily? What are you talking about? You're crazy. You joke too much in front of all my relatives, and it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but I'm not joking at all. You cannot stay in our house any longer, I declared firmly. Obviously, sensing a change in the atmosphere, all the relatives instantly moved away from us. Hey, what are you talking about? Well, if you hate me so much, then why are you living in our house? You have no right to demand me to leave. Oh, yes I do. That house is mine. It is up to me whether I let you live there or kick you out, Lily. Lily looks really shocked. Wait a minute, Steve. What's the meaning of all this? Lily asks Steve for help. Mom, I told you many times, didn't I? Don't make fun of Katie too much. Steve responded coldly. I told you that Katie built that house by herself, didn't I? Why can't you even remember something so important? Because normally it should be the husband who builds the house, right? Lily would always think that the husbands are the ones who built houses to provide for their family. Steve just sighed and continued. And I was against moving in with you, Mother. But Katie insisted on having you live with us, so I had no choice. So that's enough. If you make fun of my wife anymore, even if you're my own mother, I will not allow it. Lily, with tears in her eyes, argues back. Excuse me? No way! You're kidding, right? Steve, aren't you on my side? Your side? I'm more like your enemy, Mother. I can't believe that you're my own mother who verbally abuses my own beloved wife like this. Oh, Steve, why? Lily burst into tears and tried to hang on to Steve desperately, but it was already too late. Anyways, please pack your bags by the end of this week. As I said this, Lily looked at me with despair. No way! Katie, please, wait a minute. I apologize for everything I've done, so let's continue to live happily together, okay? She says as if nothing had happened. I can't do that. I can't live any longer with someone who doesn't have a shred of gratitude. No! I want to continue to spend time with you both, okay? Please stay away from me. And please get out of my house as soon as possible. I am the landlord here. I told her with no remorse. Mother, it is what it is, so get ready to leave. We won't help you. Lily had heard her son and his wife demand for her to leave the house, all in front of her relatives. Only few people sympathized with her. It was because everyone knew what she had been saying this whole time. Katie, good job. Thank you. It was Steve's aunt, Helen, who approached us after. Actually, this whole idea was Helen's. We have to teach my sister a lesson. Katie, you did a good job. Steve, you have to protect your wife. Auntie, thank you for helping me save Katie. Helen and I had actually been in touch with each other frequently. When I couldn't stand Lily's abuse, I would always consult to Helen about it. Helen always supported me gently. But won't it be a trouble for you, Helen, from now on? It's okay. Don't you worry about such things. I will be monitoring Lily from now on. So you both should just think about living your lives first. Thank you so much. I really couldn't thank her enough. After that, I asked Lily to leave our house as planned. Helen was the one who strictly got angry at Lily, although she resisted to the very end. This is what you did to yourself. Why don't you reflect about all the things you've said that hurt people's feelings? Helen came over to pick Lily up, and that was how she left our house. Supposedly, Lily repeatedly went over to Helen and asked if Helen could also beg us to forgive Lily and to accept her back again. But to that, Helen yelled at Lily, "That's enough! Think about how they feel and how they don't want anything to do with you anymore." Lily cried like a little child and said bitterly, "That woman brainwashed my son and made him her own." After Lily was kicked out of our house, she began living alone. I don't know where she lives, but I don't need to know that anymore. And we also moved out of our home. In fact, Steve had just been transferred and I had just submitted my transfer request. The house was originally built with my parents' inheritance, so there was no mortgage and it was easy to sell it. We made some money after selling the house, and this made life a little more comfortable. If Lily were to visit our previous home, she would surely feel lonely and hopeless. We knew this and chose to part ways. "Katie, I'm home." "Welcome home, honey." I greeted Steve at the door with my big stomach. "I'm looking forward to our baby. I'm finally becoming a father." "I'm counting on you, sweetie. Soon we will be parents." Steve is determined to protect me, even if he has to cut ties off from his own mother. No matter what happens, we can get through it as a couple. I'm so glad that I married him. I believe that with all my heart.
My mother-in-law and my husband demands me to live with them, but I refuse, and, quote,
My name is Judy. I'm a 40-year-old housewife. I live with my husband Jack, who is 2 years older than me, and with our cat. We have been married for 15 years now. If you ask me that if I have been completely satisfied with my marriage so far, I would say not really. That is partly because we were unable to have kids. And the other reason is that Jack works at a low-salary job, and he doesn't help with the housework and spends his day off just hanging out at home. And what's more, Jack is a bit of a mama's boy, and even though he is in his 40s, he still wants to visit his parents-in-law's house, which is very close by. My mom is a lot more lonely now since my dad passed away. Jack makes excuses like that, but there's no way that his mom, Mary, is weak like that. She had no manners and also had a terrible personality. You know what? I was standing in line at the supermarket the other day and I farted, and it made a very loud noise. I was so embarrassed that I turned around and blamed it on the person behind me and said to that person, "It's so rude to fart." Mary laughed as she told the story of what had happened while they were shopping, and Jack, who was listening, also laughed with her, but I was just disgusted and didn't want to be with them. I couldn't believe that Mary was my mother-in-law. Mary has only a few friends because of her character and personality, and she's the kind of person whose only hobby seems to be picking on her daughter-in-laws. I wouldn't have a hard time going to Mary's house if I had a good relationship with her, but no wife would want to be near a mother-in-law with a personality like that. My brother-in-law Phil and his wife, Anna, who used to live together at Mary's house, also ran away because Anna also couldn't stand Mary. I mean, I can completely understand her. If my father-in-law was still alive, living with them may have been tolerable, but I wonder what kind of punishment it would be to live with only Mary. Unlike me, who argued back with my own opinions directly, Anna is a quiet and patient person. But even that quiet Anna wanted to get as far away from Mary as possible. So what kind of abuse did she get from Mary which made her want to get away like that? Phil, my brother-in-law, who is also a mama's boy like Jack, didn't want to move that far away. So now Mary, Phil and Anna, and Jack and I are all living separately, but we all just live close by each other. Jack and Phil were both mama's boys. I don't know what's so good about a mother like Mary. But I can still put up with Mary as long as we live in separate households. If Mary should ever asked me to live with her, I'll definitely reject it. I had firmly promised myself to do so. But when Mary called us over the other day, she had brought up the topic about living together. I've been thinking about it, and I think it's finally time for us to move in together. When can you move in? Suddenly, Mary had gathered us and Phil and Anna and started talking about moving in together. She made it sound like she had already decided to move in with us on her own. And I'm also surprised that she even jumped to discussing on when to move in together. Huh? Now, wait a minute. I don't want to live together with you, Mary. I saw Anna go through a lot of hardships, and I don't want to go through the same thing. I am not asking you, I am asking Jack. Even though I firmly refused to live with her, Mary didn't listen to what I had to say at all. If we were to live together, I should be involved in the discussion too, but of course, she ignores my opinion. Well, I don't mind. I don't mind living together. It would be easier for you to take care of Mom in the future if we all lived together, right? Well, of course, Jack would agree to live together. And he did so on the premise that I would be the one taking care of Mary. Taking care of Mary? Me? Are you kidding me? Mary has been bullying Anna and I for years, and now you want me to take care of her? How could you even say that? I said it as I sighed, but Mary looked disappointed. Oh no. How could you accuse me like that? As an elder housewife who's much more experienced, I just gave you both some advice, that's all. How could she even think that what she was doing was giving some advice? In any case, I don't want to live with Mary or take care of her. If you really insist to live together, then we'll get a divorce. Jack got nervous hearing what I said. Hey, divorce over something like this, you're overreacting. Overreacting? Forcing someone to live with you or having to take care without asking about my own opinions are good reasons for a divorce. I have a job with a fixed income, so getting a divorce doesn't bother me at all. When I argued back, Jack got silent. Well then, it can't be helped. If Judy really doesn't want to do it, then I'll just have to ask Phil and Anna to come back. Now, it was Anna's turn to start panicking. No, I don't want to. If I have to live with Mary again, I'll go mental. I will never do it. But this time, Phil began to argue back. Now, calm down, Anna. My mom may have been a little hard on you in the past, but she did it for your sake. Mom is sorry for what she did. She's sorry? As far as I can see, Mary doesn't seem to be sorry at all. Yes, exactly. I mean, you never say anything back whenever I try to talk to you. There's no thrill in that. A strong-willed wife like Judy is a problem, but a wife who doesn't say anything is also a problem too, isn't it? That's right. You have things that you should reflect back on too, you know. What? Anna was absolutely mortified by Phil's unbelievable comment. I was also feeling the same as Anna, as I was standing beside her, and I was just too stunned to say anything. Besides, Anna, you've become a housewife all your life, so if you get divorced, you'll be in trouble right away. It's not like you have a job like Judy. When Phil began to say that, Mary jumped into that conversation. Exactly. Anna, if you keep being selfish, Phil could leave you, you know. If a woman with neither good looks nor good style gets rejected, she'll have no choice but to go out on the street. What exactly is Mary sorry about? I seriously wondered. Mary was enjoying how this talk was going to, so she looked really excited. Anna, you were still pretty when you were young. Now, you're so chubby. Come to think of it, it's that time of season where sea lions begin to move around, right? Sea lions, huh? That's a good one. Even Phil burst out laughing. How rude! Are you trying to call me a sea lion? Anna burst into tears and I tried to comfort her, but both Mary and Phil didn't stop talking. Oh no, stop being so paranoid. I was only talking about the sea lions, right, Phil? The sea lions flap their flippers and cry out, right? She's just like them. To my surprise, both Phil and Mary began to imitate a sea lion together. Please stop. What is wrong with you people? I shouted, and Anna burst into tears and ran out of the house. I shouted over to Mary as I stood up to chase after Anna. How horrible and inconsiderate of you. That's why neither Anna nor I want to live with you. Then Jack joins in. You think you're all that because you're working, but after all, a woman trying to survive on her own is bound to end up on the street. Just like Anna, you'd be in trouble if you divorce me. Don't you dare even think of using divorce as a threat. He glares at me as he says this. It was true that I was in a better position than Anna, but I couldn't really say, yes, let's divorce right away. Anyways, I would never live with Mary, I said and ran out of the house. I decided to find Anna and comfort her. After searching around for a while, I found Anna walking along the sidewalk. Anna! Oh, Judy. Anna's face was filled with tears. I managed to calm Anna down and went into a nearby coffee shop. I can't take it anymore. Mary has been bullying me, and Phil doesn't help me at all. I agreed to what she had to say. Well, yeah. Phil and Jack are both Mama's boys, aren't they? I sighed. If it's only light verbal abuse, then I can stand it, but I can't stand it anymore knowing that Phil is cheating on me too. And to think that even Mary is helping Phil have an affair? At Anna's sudden topic about Phil having an affair, I panicked. What? Wait a minute. Huh? Phil's having an affair? And Mary's cooperating? Oh, you had no idea? That man has been cheating on me for years. He kept on saying that he was going to visit Mary, but he was actually on a date with his mistress. Mary knew about it, and she was even helping him create an alibi. Anna was in tears, as if to vent all the feelings that had been building up inside her. I was so stunned and felt very bad for Anna. I pity her so much, being harassed by Mary and even being cheated on by her own husband. I completely agree with how you're feeling about all this, Anna. I feel so sorry for you. But why did you even put up with it? No matter how worried you are about how you'd live in the future, you shouldn't have to put up with this kind of life. I thought I was cheering her up by saying this. But Anna looked up at me with curious eyes. What do you mean, why am I putting up with it? Because it's the same for you, isn't it? Huh? Then Anna began to tell me an outrageous story. After hearing the whole story, Anna and I decided to team up and go against Mary and our husbands. They were all a bunch of assholes. There is no way they can mock Anna and I to this extent, and there's no way we both could remain silent about it. We will surely pay back for all that they've done to us. And 1 month after Anna and I's discussion, Mary ordered all of us to come over to her place again. Since then, Anna and I have been steadily making preparations without saying anything to our husbands. And this was the perfect opportunity. We all headed over to Mary's place. Well, I thought about it, and after all, either Phil's family or Jack's family would have to move in with me. Mary began to talk about the topic of moving in together once again. I'm getting old, and eventually I'll have to have one of my daughter-in-laws take care of me, so I figured it's better to begin practicing now. To this, Anna answered right away. I don't want to live with you, Mary. I will never live with you. If we have to live together, then I'll get a divorce. Anna's tone of voice was so different from her previous ones that even Mary seemed to be taken aback. That again? What about you, Judy? She asks me this since Anna said no, and I answer back to her. So, what you're saying is that you want us daughter-in-laws to live with you because you want us to take care of you, is that right? Well, that's one thing, but I'm also lonely now, and I'd rather live with either Phil or Jack. Since both Anna and I kept on saying no to her request, Mary seemed to be getting more and more irritated. Are you really saying that you both can't obey to your own mother-in-law's request? Well, this is an order. I'm going to live with my son, so you have to live with me. Then, Anna and I both looked at each other and nodded. I will not. How about this person instead? I then spread out some photos on the table. That's... Phil and Jack began to panic, because those photos were evidence that both Phil and Jack were having an affair. The photos were of them entering a hotel with a woman, kissing in the park, and so on. You two were both cheating on us. You two are really close brothers, huh? And I heard that Mary also knew about this? Even though Mary knew about it, she was helping you to create alibis. How could she be so shameless as to ask us to live with her and take care of her while doing such a despicable thing? Anna was also nodding her head beside me. If you want somebody to take care of you, Mary, then ask these women in the photos. We are both getting divorced, so I will not live or take care of you. You're causing so much troubles here, Mary panicked. Troubles? Well, we don't feel like we're in trouble at all. Right, Anna? Anna smiled. Hey, Anna! If you divorce me then, you'll be the one who's in trouble. There's no way a housewife can make it all on her own. Phil started to yell. He might want to start imitating the sea lion again like he did a month ago, but we will not let him do that anymore. Divorce is just a threat. Anna then replied with a smile on her face. Oh, I'm not the one in trouble, you know. Because I'm planning to get alimony from you. What? I'm also going to charge the woman you cheated on me with for alimony, and I think it will at least cover the cost of renting a small apartment and getting my life back on track. I'll have to work hard to find a job, but I also still plan to do everything I can to make it on my own. Oh, Anna, don't worry, I'll support and help you out. Anna and I both decided to cooperate and help each other get through this crappy situation. With my personal savings, we can manage to make a living for the time being. If Anna gets alimony from Phil and his partner, she will pay it back to me with a small amount of interest. And for this to work, we must do whatever it takes to get money from them. Oh, Jack, it's pretty obvious that I'll be asking for alimony from you too. And also from the woman you cheated on me with. Even though I'm working, there's never enough money for a 40-year-old divorcee. When I said this to Jack, he looked at me in despair. I'm sorry. It was just a desire. And it was just for fun. It wasn't anything serious. Serious or not, cheating is cheating. We have already consulted this to our lawyer, so you can make excuses all you want to our lawyer. I gave Jack and Phil the business card of our lawyer's office. The lawyer represented both Anna and I. We signed up for 2 lawyers at the same time and got a small discount for a lawyer to be on both our cases. This was a very good deal for both Anna and I. It's also known as a clever housewife's trick. Hey, wait a minute. Let's talk about this. Just not divorce, please. I'll apologize. I'm sorry. Jack and Phil both got down on their knees and apologized on the spot, but Mary was just upset and started to scream. Well, if you both want a divorce, why don't you do it then? I'm not going to put up with you both who can't be patient enough about your own husband's 1 or 2 affairs. Anna then began to laugh. Before I knew it, Anna looked completely confident. After all, a woman gets stronger at the final moment. Mary, you can tolerate very well with affairs, huh? Is it because you know what it's like to have an affair? Hearing this, Mary was so shocked that she flinched. What are you talking about so suddenly? I heard that you had an affair too. I heard it from one of your neighbors. You had a fling with a part-time worker at Jack's swim club. What the hell is going on with your family DNA? Compared to you all, father-in-law was so serious. Who the hell told you that? Well, I wonder who could it be? Why don't you ask around if you're curious? Well then, we're going back to pack our bags, so we'll be going now. Anna and I stood up at the same time. And then I said this with a huge smile on my face. Please just enjoy and continue on imitating the sea lion you did previously. After that, Anna and I went back to our own houses and left with the luggage we had packed in advance. We had already signed a contract for an apartment, so we would meet there. Jack called me and Phil called Anna several times, but we ignored all of them and left everything to our lawyer. After a while, both our divorce got settled and we finally got our alimony. Mary's intention to have her daughter-in-laws take care of her stopped since then, and she started to rely on her 2 sons. And now, it seems that there's a dispute between Phil and Jack about who was going to take care of her. Please come home, I'm really sorry. Let's start over again. I'll wait for you forever at that restaurant where we used to go for our dates. Phil and Jack kept on sending us messages to get back together again. We would mock about Phil and Jack at night after work over a light drink while reading their stupid messages. Hey, Anna, where is that restaurant which Phil mentioned? Oh, I don't really know what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure the restaurant where we used to go on dates is gone now, so I have no clue what he's talking about. Anna and I lived together for a little while, but when Anna got a job, she moved out of the apartment. She and I are now best friends who ran away from that horrible family together. We would like to continue to support and cooperate with each other. I'm now leading a very laid-back life, drinking coffee while petting my cat.